Social media really is a nightmare in the followers. Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Followers, which is coming to digital and on demand on March 24th, 2023. It's a new social media style ghost story. My hot take is, look, I think this is kind of a rent or a pass. I think I'm gonna kind of go with a pass on this one. Although it has some things I really liked. I really loved the premise and I loved the cast, but the actual like ghost effects and scary parts didn't really feel that scary. It has some rough edges, especially towards the end, and on that same vein, it has kind of an unsatisfying ending. So, although I really, really liked the start of it, I really loved like the first half an hour of this film. After that, it kind of went downhill. So, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the movie, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and go into the ending, and you can see kind of some of the things why I didn't like it. So, as you can imagine, there will be spoilers when I get to the ending section. I will be clear when that happens. I will let you know. So if you don't want to know what happens in this film, and you might not, there are some pretty big surprises. I would turn it off at the spoiler section, but before that, I will keep it vague. So in Followers, you have a aspiring social media influencer who moves into a house for college with three other people. You've got Amber, who is also kind of an influencer, though she's not really doing streaming. She's more of like an Instagram influencer. You've got Pete, who is this kind of older, lone wolf, angry guy. And you have Zona, who's a documentary maker. They all move into this house, and then strange things start to happen. They think that maybe this house is haunted. They think maybe something is going on. And as they get further and further in this rabbit hole, Jonty, who's the main kind of like video YouTube star, just a fantastic person, right? Like someone who puts their stuff on YouTube must be a good person. Um, he tries to make the most of this, and as you know, they get deeper into this haunting, his influence goes up. But at some point, is the extra influence worth the risk that's happening to him? I don't know. You have to find out. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, I loved the cast. I thought it was a really fun cast. I thought it was a really good group of characters that they put together. I thought they each brought something different to the table, and I thought that they had like some fun interactions in this house. It sometimes feels like a reality TV show, and I really liked how each person was very, very different. And the second thing I really loved is the premise. Look, I love this idea of a YouTube person coming into this house, having some weird things happen, and then wanting to capture it. So as things get more and more crazy, they put up more and more cameras. So at some point it becomes like a almost like a found footage type scenario, but you get mixes of like found footage, you get mixes of Jonty like recording himself, making videos, and then you get some voiceover from Zana, who is the documentary maker who kind of starts making a documentary about all the stuff that's going on. So that was a really good kind of setup and a really kind of interesting premise for a found footage haunted movie. And the last thing I really liked, especially at the start, are the production values for the kind of the social media side of things. I really liked the production values for the social media characters. I thought they all kind of fit naturally. I like how their personalities are very different. But when they were making these kind of like clips, these social media inspired things, it definitely felt like very different channels. And you could tell that the filmmakers spent a lot of time trying to get each character's world, you know, to fit together. So all that being said, look, a lot of things I liked, things I didn't like as much. The first is the ghost effects. So this is a found footage haunting movie. The ghost effects aren't really good. At the start, they're better because they're a little bit more subtle, but when they stop being subtle, they do not look very good. It's kind of a mixture between like a character who's wearing makeup and they put like a digitalish filter on them. Sometimes they are just like wearing like white makeup and they have white, you know, contacts in so you can't see their eyes. At the start, they're pretty good. They're fairly subtle, but as the haunting gets more and more intense and as things start to manifest more, they do not look that impressive. I'm not going to go too much into the spoilers, but you know, at some points it's just like a character like in white with like some digital artifacting over them. Things like that kind of don't feel scary and don't look very scary, and they kind of break your kind of sense of enjoyment of a horror movie. Second thing I didn't love as much is there are some rough edges, especially towards the end. I don't know, it feels a little rushed in the end when they're trying to get more and more in there. You've got some action scenes that don't really have very good action. You've got some scenes that have really rough transitions and some really convenient things that the people discover just to kind of like help move the story along. And you have some really, really poor decisions that kind of, again, move the story along, but felt not, they felt kind of out of character with how like clean the start of the movie was. And the last thing I did not like as much, and this is where there will be spoilers, is the ending. So I'm going to talk a little more about the ending. If you don't want to know what happens in this film, I would turn it off now. Just know that Followers is coming to digital and on demand on March 24th, 2023. So what I didn't love as much about the ending is it felt almost like they were trying too hard for this big reveal, which happens actually, not infrequently in horror movies, where you've got, they're trying to like have this oh gosh moment, this like, you know, they're trying to have this like oh gosh moment. So they throw something out of left field that just kind of doesn't really make much sense and kind of messes with some of the story that you already have. So in this film, you've got these characters living in this house, and then you also have this person, Becky, who I think she's like a psychotherapist for one of them, but also kind of feels like a landlord to them. I can't really tell exactly what she is, but she also has her own like budding social media presence. She has a YouTube channel that tries to give like thoughts of the day and things like that. And she is constantly trying to like get an appearance into Jonty's channel because Jonty is growing and growing and growing. His followership is growing. And she wants to kind of, it seems like she wants to take some of that influence or like at least ride some of that influence. But what you find out eventually is that the entity that is haunting this house is this person named Dawn who killed herself years ago. And the characters find this out because for some reason, randomly, Pete decides to start punching a wall. I don't really know why, but when he punches the wall, this one specific wall pulls back and there is this like tape that is sitting behind the wall. And it's a very well done kind of effect. It looks kind of cryptic and gross, but it just felt like this one time he punched the wall, he happens to punch the one wall where there is a cassette tape that gives them more information. They listen to the cassette tape and they hear Dawn like killing herself. And so they're like, okay, she killed herself. She's here. She's haunting. Weird. You also find out later on that Becky, the psychotherapist, budding YouTuber, and maybe landlord, was friends with Dawn. And you're like, okay, that's really weird. And Becky's like, I will tell you the whole story, but I have to tell you the whole story on the channel. So she finally gets her like little hook into the channel. And eventually the big reveal is you find out that Becky is like making ghosts for some reason. So she like started off with Dawn. She finds like damaged individuals and I guess uses her like therapy powers to give them suggestions and eventually cause them to kill themselves. And by doing this, she is creating ghosts. I don't really know why, other than maybe the power trip of creating a ghost. But she's done this for a few people. She did this for Dawn. She did this for this weird homeless person that was like living in this house. I think his name was Jim. She was obsessed with Dawn. I think she kind of like she entered his mind and gave him suggestions. He also eventually killed himself. Now, when they have this big reveal, she also does this to Amber, who's one of the main characters. She somehow was giving Amber therapy and none of them really knew it. And then so eventually Becky like suggests to Amber to kill herself. And Amber like takes a knife and shoves it into her throat. Becky has these like crazy hypnotism powers. And when the rest of the cast find out, they're obviously upset. So Pete, the like angry one, goes and tries to like stop Becky. And he's got Becky, he's like strangling her, I think. And Becky then like uses her hypnotism powers and he swallows a razor. But while he's doing this, no one like is running up trying to stop him. It's not like she's like a powerful character. She just has, I guess, hypnotic influence over people. So he swallows his razor and like they have this whole scene. And then now it's the next person. Zana comes up and like tries to stop her. And then this is where there's some really bad action because like Zana like stabs Becky and then Becky like stabs Zana and it feels very like staccato. It doesn't feel fluid at all. And one of the things that Becky's been trying to do is like create a video to show all the people that she's been creating ghosts. And she thinks that that is going to propel Jonty into like, superstardom, I guess. And so she tells Jonty that he has to choose He has to choose between the lives of his friends and not making this video that won't propel him to superstardom, or making this video and becoming like the most famous person in the world. And Jonty's already at like 10 million subscribers, so he's probably doing fine. I don't think he needs this, but she seems to think there's a moral quandary. But the other people don't, and so Pete eventually attacks, and Jonty, Jonty, to be clear, Jonty doesn't do anything during this. He's, thinking about this. So Pete attacks her. So now after Becky stabs Zana, Jonty says, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it." So after like most of his friends are dead, he's like, "I'll do it." But this was apparently a ruse to get Zana to leave because Zana has like because Zana has the Dawn tape. He uses this ruse to like get Zana to leave. She leaves the house, and before this, Becky, I guess, had been like spraying lighter fluid around the house as well. Again, it's not a great ending. And so while Zana's leaving, Becky pulls out a lighter and just like lights it, and the house goes up. So you can't really see what's happening, and presumably Jonty and Becky both died. You also get to see a little bit of Dawn kind of in the corner during this, but she doesn't really do much during this time. You'd think that she would maybe attack Becky, who had like created her. Anyways, later you find out, the house exploded. People think that that Jonty is dead and Becky is dead. And you see Zana editing a video. She's editing some video like about the whole ordeal that she's going to upload. So it seems like in the end, Becky's gonna get her way. She's gonna like have a video about the things that she did. She starts to upload the video, and you look, and when she's starting to upload, you see Jonty is over her shoulder, and he has like a burned face. So he clearly survived, but he is very hurt. And during the video, while it's uploading, like the screen stops, the upload stops, and the screen like turns into an image of Becky. And Becky is there with like essentially like white makeup and white cataracts in her eyes. And so she's a ghost, I guess. And so she's like, "Now I'm a ghost." And then we see scenes of Zana going to Becky for therapy. And I guess Zana never realized this, that she was going to Becky for therapy. She has some pretty powerful powers because everyone apparently was going to her for therapy and no one knew it. Then Becky tells Zana, it's time to make a change. And that's when Zana like switches and like starts to strangle Jonty, which I didn't understand this either, because the whole thing that Becky was trying to do was she was trying to build up Jonty. Maybe she was just trying to like use his ego, but it felt like she wanted him to succeed. Like she kept calling him like the voice of a generation. She really wanted him to increase his subscribers. So I don't know why she would then kill him at the very end. I don't know, maybe he's going to be like an influencer ghost. I don't know, but that's kind of how it ends. Zana is strangling Jonty, and that's the end. That's the followers. Like I said, I liked a lot about it. I really love the premise. I like the cast a lot. I thought they were very fun to watch. And the first about half an hour is really good, but after that, it kind of goes downhill. So that is Followers. If you want to check it out, it's available on March 24th, 2023. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.